Good morning, wrestling fans. Today is July 1st, 2023. Lance Brock here for this Saturday morning to talk some pro wrestling with you again today. And once again, starting a little earlier than normal than I usually start. Good morning, wrestling fans. But once again, today was the Impact Wrestling Down Under Tour, the second night, and I wanted to come on here, Good Morning Wrestling fans, and recap today's show just like I did yesterday. And let's get right into it. Impact Wrestling Down Under Tour was live from Wagga Wagga, Australia on Fight TV. And the commentators, once again, Tom Hannafan and Matthew Rehwoldt. And we start things off on the second night with Oceania Pro Wrestling being represented. It is Adam Brooks taking on Robbie Eagles. These two both looked very impressive yesterday. Adam Brooks taking on Slex and Robbie Eagles in the three-way against Chris Sabin and Frankie Kazarian. And tonight they are going at it one-on-one in singles action. And I thought these two had a really good match to open the show today. And it is Adam Brooks getting the win to become the first ever Oceania Pro Wrestling Champion. Not too familiar with Oceania Pro Wrestling, but I'm sure that'd definitely be one. If you're into watching wrestling from all over the world, I'd probably check it out. And the first OPW champion, Adam Brooks, once again. And then we have tag team action. It is Natural Classics defeating the Velocities. And again, I'm not really too familiar with these two teams, but they put on a really good tag team match. Had a lot of high-flying, exciting action in this one. And both teams very impressive. The Velocities I thought looked really good. But in the end, it is Natural Classics getting the win over the Velocities. Once again, good tag team match here. And next up, the Impact Wrestling Digital Media Championship is on the line. Say his name and he appears. Joe Hendry defending against Moose. If you remember just a little bit back, these two had a feud in Impact Wrestling, which Joe Hendry, as he does with his opponents, made a music video and a song, Mountain Moose, which started the whole dancing moose thing. And there was even the one time where he tricked Moose into putting on the virtual headset thing. And these two, again, I thought had a really good match. This time on the Down Under Tour. And as I have been saying for a while, big fan of Moose. Also, have been very impressed with Joe Hendry, his run as digital media champion. And I think these two actually do work pretty well together in the ring. Once again, putting on a really good match here. And it is Joe Hendry successfully defending his digital media championship, defeating Moose. And next up, Eddie Edwards is in action, taking on Flex. Pretty good match here, I thought. And next up, Steph DeLander taking on Killer Kelly. Steph DeLander in her hometown of Australia, or home country, I should say, taking on Killer Kelly. And I'm sure you're familiar with Steph DeLander. As of late, has been working a lot with Matt Cardona on the indies, and has been looking very impressive. And her and Killer Kelly tonight, I'll just go ahead and say tonight, had a very good match here, and it is Steph DeLander getting the win, defeating Killer Kelly, looking very impressive. And yesterday, on the first night of the tour, she cut a promo on her home country and her hometown. She said is, I think, in the middle of the country or something, I think she said. And she said, talked about how she didn't like that part of the country. And I think Steph DeLander definitely would like to see more of her in Impact Wrestling. I think she works very good as a heel. What I have seen of her on the indies and in Impact, she has made a few appearances, and today actually on this tour was her first victory in Impact Wrestling. Once again, defeating Killer Kelly, in which I have to admit, I kind of thought this one was a bit of an upset. Going into this one, I expected Killer Kelly to come out on top, but that was not the case. Next up, we have the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers, taking on Frankie Kazarian. And these two, I don't know if I would say I'm surprised, but these two had a really good match, and I'd probably say, though, it was probably a better match than I expected it to be. These two had a really good one. Frankie Kazarian, definitely a great worker in that ring, and Brian Myers today definitely put on a good match along with Frankie, and it is Kazarian getting the win, defeating Brian Myers. And once again, like I said, these two putting on a really good match here on night 2 of the Down Under Tour. And next up, we have the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Championships on the line. ABC, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay taking on former Impact World Tag Team Champions, the Motor City Machine Guns, the Impact World Champion Alex Shelley, and the Impact X Division Champion Chris Sabin. And this one I thought was a really good match. Definitely some great tag team wrestling in this one, which is no surprise at all when you think about the two teams in it, especially the Motor City Machine Guns, who have been teaming for a long time tag team partners, have had many great matches in the history of Impact Wrestling, and taking on ABC, a team Chris Bay and Ace Austin, which have been very impressive as of late. I'd say probably about the last year or so, one of the most improved tag teams in all of wrestling, and they were good as singles wrestlers, and of course they were good when they started teaming together, and they have gotten even better, in my opinion, in Impact Wrestling. New Japan, they have done very well as of late. And this match, I expected this one to be a really good match, and it definitely did not disappoint. It was a very entertaining tag team match. And we even see a double Art of Finesse from Chris Bay onto Sabin and Shelley, but it is not to pick up the win. The match continues, and Bay hits the ultimate finesse again. Then Ace Austin hits the fold. It is 1-2 sweet. Ace Austin and Chris Bay, ABC, defeat the Motor City Machine Guns to retain the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Championships here on the Down Under Tour. And I don't know if I would consider this match an upset or not, but definitely an impressive victory for ABC. It would be for any tag team to get a win over the Motor City Machine Guns. Definitely both teams deserve respect here. And then after the match, Sabin and Shelley offer handshakes to Austin and Bay. And sorry about that, fans. Had to pause the recording real quick. I was talking about that tag team match. Fantastic. And I would definitely put ABC and the Motor City Machine Guns on the list of the top tag teams in all of pro wrestling today. But I'm going to say I'm too surprised that ABC did go over in this one, because Sabin and Shelley do already have matches set for Slammiversary for the World Championship and the X Division Championship, respectively. And then they did mention on commentary, though, Tom Hannafan and Matthew Raywalt, that if Sabin and Shelley did defeat them for the tag team titles, and then they would have to have double duty coming up at Slammiversary. But still, your Impact World Tag Team Champions, ABC, the team of Chris Bay and Ace Austin, definitely could be a candidate for a match of the night right there. And our main event of the evening for night 2 of the Impact Wrestling Down Under Tour. The Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship is on the line. Giselle Shaw, the quintessential diva, challenging against the Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion, Deonna Purrazzo. And in case you saw yesterday, hopefully that you did, but in case you missed it, Giselle Shaw getting the win, and with a submission with an armbar yesterday, defeating Erica Reed, and thought that was pretty done well. How she got the submission win with the armbar, where Hannah Fan and Ray Walt really put over the fact that you very rarely see Giselle Shaw, if ever, get the submission win, but she did yesterday, getting some momentum going into tonight's match against Deonna Purrazzo. First off, I just want to say, definitely a very good match. These two worked great, and definitely Giselle Shaw. She has been impressing me quite a bit lately, and in this match, I thought she looked very good in the ring, taking it to Deonna Purrazzo and working the arm and going after that armbar again, trying to get the submission victory to become the Knockouts champion. But in the end, it is the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo getting the win via submission with the Venus de Milo, as that move, since she's got both arms locked, you can't tap out to it. All you have to do is shake your head yes that you want to give up, and that is what Giselle Shaw did. Deonna Purrazzo, still your Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion, but once again though, she looked really good in this match, and she did not get the victory tonight, but I would not be surprised at all one bit if in the future we do see Giselle Shaw as the Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion. And don't know when, but I say probably sometime in the next year. Don't be surprised at all if you see her with that Knockouts title. And once again, really good main event here. And overall, a really good show today, I thought, once again, with some really good pro wrestling on the card. And I would say match of the night would probably be a toss-up, maybe a tie between the last two matches, the Impact World Tag Team title match, the Machine Guns and ABC, and the Knockouts title match, Deonna and Giselle. I think those were probably the two best matches of the night. And overall, both shows were very good this weekend. I definitely recommend checking them out. And I think the pack of both shows still might be available with the replays, so you can get both shows for $24.99. But if for some reason it's not available as the bundle with the replays, you can order each show for $14.99 on Fight TV. But I think that it will be available, the 2-pack still with both shows, $24.99. That's a great deal. Had two really good shows this weekend. And I definitely recommend checking out both replays if you have not seen either of the shows yet. And I still have some time, luckily, so at this time right now, I will be previewing tonight's WWE Money in the Bank Premium Live event here in the United States, streaming live on Peacock, and I think traditional pay-per-view still, but even though I'm not sure how many people still order it that way, but I think it still might be available on there. And elsewhere, WWE Network internationally, and I say tonight, but this is another one with a time difference. Here in Michigan will be starting 3 p.m. Eastern, and let's get right into it. Money in the Bank today from London, England, at the O2 Arena, and the WWE Intercontinental Championship will be on the line. Gunther defending against the original bro, Matt Riddle. I think that'll be a good match. I think Gunther is going to be retaining in this one. Nothing against Matt Riddle, but I think they should keep Gunther looking strong and dominant, and I think he should go over this one and defend the IC title or retain it. Let him have a long run with this title, make more important, and yes, I know he has had a long run with it already, but I think they should keep it going. And the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships are on the line. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler defending against the former Tag Team Champions who actually never lost those titles. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I think this could be a good match, but I see Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler retaining, defeating Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. And we have the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes taking on Dirty Dominic Mysterio. I'm sure he will have Rhea Ripley in his corner, which I think this will be a pretty good match. And I know I actually have heard some people online talk and say, could we possibly see Brandy Rhodes show up and kind of try to even things up and take on Rhea Ripley? I don't know if I see that happening, though. You never know. I'm going to say it's impossible, but I don't know if I see that happening, though. And I kind of think this one we're going to see Cody Rhodes go over and get the win against Dom, but I wouldn't mind at all if WWE would have Dominic Mysterio go over in this one. I did see something online that, don't know if this is for sure or not. It's a little too early still, but I saw that WWE could be possibly planning Dominic Mysterio for Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. Like I said, definitely do not know just yet if those reports are true or not. Like I said, still a little too early, but we will just have to wait and see. And we have the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. The competitors are Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Joey Starks, Bayley, Io Sky, and Trish Stratus. And actually in this one, I would not be surprised at all if they do let Trish become Miss Money in the Bank. But other ones, of course, Becky Lynch could see winning this one, and maybe even Zoe Stark could maybe give her a big push. And the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, we have Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, LA Knight, Santos Escobar, Butch, Damian Priest, and Logan Paul. I think this will be an entertaining match. And as far as who I would like to see win this one, I would like to see LA Knight get a chance of getting the case. Or maybe even Damian Priest and Nakamura. But you also gotta say Butch in his home country of England getting the Money in the Bank briefcase for the first time in his career. That is what I would like to see happen. But there is part of me that's afraid and thinks that what we will see happen is Logan Paul getting it in this one and having the Money in the Bank briefcase. Don't get me wrong, Logan Paul does actually work good as a heel, and he does have heat, and he has had good matches, but still, I wouldn't say I'm a real big fan of his. And I think it could be good, though, if they let him have the case for quite a while, and then when you kind of forget about it and you're not expecting it, he comes in and cashes in on one of the baby faces to become, if the title is held by a baby face, I should say, comes in and wins the title. And that would definitely be good heel heat there. And so I would not be surprised at all if WWE does let Logan Paul become Mr. Money in the Bank. For the World Heavyweight Championship, we have Seth freaking Rollins defending against Finn Balor. I think this one could steal the show, possibly be match of the night. Have a really good match, great match I should say, Rollins and Balor, but I would say most likely it'll be Rollins retaining in this one. For a prediction, gotta go with Rollins to retain the World Heavyweight Championship over Finn Balor. But like I said, I'm sure that'll be a great match between these two. And in the main event, or what I'm guessing will be the main event, the Bloodline Civil War, Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, along with the wise man Paul Heyman in their corner, taking on the Usos, Jimmy and Jay. I think this could be a good one, and I actually think the Usos are gonna get the win here, but I do not think that Roman is gonna take the pin, and I don't think Solo should take the pin, but I think that is what's gonna happen, and this could possibly lead to Solo having enough and leaving the side of the tribal chief. And I don't think he's going to join his brothers, the Usos, but I think Solo Sikoa could have a great run as a single star. He could be one of the top heels that is this dominant force taking on everybody and possibly maybe one day challenging Roman for that undisputed Universal Championship. So my prediction for the main event is the Usos getting a win, but probably pinning Solo. And I think Money in the Bank should be a good card tonight. And then, like I talked about last night on 360 Wrestling Fanatic, that I saw on WWE's YouTube channel that they have scheduled for 7 p.m. the Money in the Bank press conference. So I'm guessing that means they expect Money in the Bank to be about in the neighborhood of about 4 hours or so. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight is AEW Saturday Collision and third episode. And like I said, what my plan as of right now is after Collision tonight is to do an episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic where I recap both Money in the Bank and Collision in the same episode. Hopefully plans won't change, and as of right now I also plan on going live like I have been doing for the premium live events and special shows. And that's all for this episode of 360 Good Morning Wrestling fans. And I have to check the archives and stuff like that, but this may be the longest episode of Good Morning Wrestling fans that I have done so far. I guess you could call this a supersized episode of Good Morning Wrestling fans, which compared to how long GMWF usually is. And I just wanted to come on and talk about the Impact Down Under tour and also preview Money in the Bank tonight. And hope everyone has a great Saturday, enjoys Money in the Bank, whichever, if you're like me here in Michigan, 3 p.m. in the afternoon, or if you're there in the UK and you're watching it at 8 p.m. when it's live, if you're watching at home, or possibly if you're there at the O2 Arena. Hope everyone enjoys Money in the Bank tonight and AEW Saturday Collision. Thank you once again for tuning in. And we'll again tonight, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Stay tuned. And tomorrow we'll return with the Sunday episode of GMWF. But until tomorrow morning, have a great pro wrestling day.